Hey guys, welcome back to Poised in Progress. I'm your host Aria, where I help men and women in their 20s trying to figure out where they're going, what's happening, and how to be very ambitious and independent and achieve all of your goals for 2026. So if you are interested in that, make sure you guys follow the podcast, and let's go ahead and hop into today's topic. Today's topic is going to be on the 20s meltdown. Okay, if you are a person who is feeling like your plan A did not work out, you had your life set, you had an ideal of where you were going and what you would be doing, and literally all of it kind of just blew up in your face, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what happened during that time, what it is, and how to actually overcome it. Now, this will be a two-part because I feel like this needs to be longer. It needs to be explained more in depth because as many people as I've talked to in their 20s or people who have gotten out of their 20s, every single one of them I've talked to, they have hit this point no matter how successful or how unsuccessful they are. So I think it's very important to be very detailed when it comes to this specific topic. I'm going to go ahead and start by explaining my story of my 20s meltdown. And I want to make a big emphasis on it's not always going to happen in your early 20s. Luckily, mine happened in my early 20s, but it can literally happen at any point in your 20s, but it's going to happen, okay? So mine actually happened when I turned 20. I was playing volleyball at a 2-year college, and I was so depressed. I'm glad I can laugh about it now, but I was so dang depressed at this dang school. Like, I hated the team, I hated the school, I hated volleyball, I hated work, I hated everything. But to me, I felt like I was doing all of this work for a reason. My dream coming out of my 2-year college was to go to a D1 HBCU after, right? I remember working really hard in that season, and I actually ended up having like the best season I ever had in collegiate volleyball or just volleyball period. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, I have no offers on the table, none that I wanted realistically. And I was like, okay, like I did all of this work. Mind you guys, I played that sophomore season in 2020. So we were wearing masks, everything was like distance and everything like that. So it was very tough because volleyball is a fall sport, and 2020 we had to wait until the spring season, so we were training that whole entire time. And if you were a college athlete, then you know like how much of your time is just taken up by your sport and school and all. So that was basically what my life was, and I was miserable, but I was like, if I can at least achieve this one thing, then all of this crap that I went through at this dang school would be worth it. There was this one park that I would go and walk at every single day, and this was when the season had ended. I remember just being so depressed and like praying to God, like I really just want this offer. Like I know it's already past like the recruiting portal part and everything like that, but you know, Lord, I just know you're gonna make a way for me. And I'm just like praying as I'm walking. And one of those days, I remember I had walked for about like 2 hours. Then I got in my car, and then I looked at my phone, and lo and behold, I see a message from a D1 HBCU talking about wanting to give me a scholarship to come play at their school. I remember being so excited and so happy because I was like, finally, like all of that work paid off. Finally, I'm going to get what I've been working for this whole time. And I remember getting on the phone with the coach and everything like that, and they were talking about like getting me out there for a visit, this, that, and the third, and what the scholarship would look like and everything like that. I was really, really excited. And last minute, they chose someone else to take the spot on the team. And when I tell you, your girl was devastated. I was so devastated because I was like, what was the point? Literally, what was the point of it? Because that I didn't really know where to turn. Yes, I had other scholarships to another place, and I ended up actually taking a scholarship at a different school. But I was like, that was the plan. That was the plan, to end up at a bigger school and to be able to get these opportunities that I was thinking about at the time and everything like that. And I was like, oh my goodness, like it's gone. It's gone, and there's nothing I could do about it. I end up trying to email even more schools, even though at that point I had emailed a bajillion of them schools, and everybody was saying like, oh, well, we can get you for the 2022 season, da da da. And I was like, what am I gonna do? Just sit there? Like, because mind you, like being like such an academic and sports based person, and a lot of people in sports don't talk about that, you don't know what to do. Going and living regular is just so scary whenever your whole world revolved around somebody else making a plan for you. I was just so depressed that summer. Going into the summer, I remember I didn't even want to go to my graduation. I came home and like I just really everything kind of fell apart at that point. I literally dyed my hair blonde. Like I dyed my hair blonde. I was going out partying, and I was like, mind you, I was not a partier before that. Like I was just out there partying, going out with my friends and stuff like that, trying to make myself feel better about the fact that I had no clue what my life was about to go into. I remember feeling like I had a secret the whole summer because I was supposed to be going to the school with my other friends, and I knew 100% I wasn't going. I knew I wasn't going to that school. At that point, I felt like there was no point, and that everything, like now I'm going to be a bum. I'm not going to have any validation. That was the first time that I ever worked really hard for something and didn't get it. So it was very devastating to feel that so early on. You're at that age, you literally feel like you messed up decades of your life ahead if you didn't take on this one particular thing. And that's what I was feeling. I was feeling like, oh my goodness, like a failure. Like I literally felt like a failure when that happened, because I was like, how did they look me up, email me out the blue? It literally felt like God was just putting that in my hand and it didn't fall through. I was like, what am I doing? So then I remember kind of dwelling in it for quite a while. I want to say probably about a year. And that kind of brings me into my first point of like what the meltdown begins like. Usually something that should have been easily obtainable for you, or should have been that was in your plan anyway, everybody else could see that in your plan too. And somehow, some way, it makes a shift. Like, and the shift is literally like so mind-blowing that you just don't even know how you got from there to there. Like, you don't know how in the world that thing that you felt like was so, like was 100% going to happen did end up following through, and you're left to figure out what to do next, especially if you never had a plan B. As a person who seems like a type A person, I'll be completely honest, I never have a plan B because I don't want an option for plan A to not work. And although it didn't work in this particular setting, it worked later on for me to have that mindset, but at the time that was what I thought. When that happens and you're just like, okay, it's like you go through like kind of stages of grief, because here you are thinking you had your whole entire life planned out. Everything was going to work out the way you wanted to. Everything was in alignment. And then there's just like something big just kind of blows it up. You're left to feel so confused, just strictly confused. The other part of that is that the failure part in your plan not working out hits harder than you think. And I want to stay on this point a little bit longer than most of my other things. If you are not careful about the feelings you get from failing, you will stay there for a long time. When I mean a long time, I'm talking about I seen it happen for other people who are in my life and they are still stuck in it 10, 15 years later. Thing about being young, and it's time for you to get into young adulthood, you forget that there's steps just how it was when you were a baby or you went from elementary school to middle school to high school. Because when you were in those stages, you had someone holding your hand. Like, even if you didn't have a lot of support and you had to grow up fast, there was this sense of leniency that you had because you were so young, to where you didn't have to think of, if this does not happen, my life is over. If it didn't happen then, you kind of had more chances. When you hit that first failure in your life and you don't have anybody who is a cushion or who can explain it, or it's their fault and it's actually just yours now, you don't know that this is generally a part of life. You don't understand that this is one of many. This is a thing that will happen multiple times throughout your life. And it's very essential that you go through it though, because if you don't go through it, then you don't know how to handle it when it hits again, because it will always hit again. As somebody who's just 25, I will tell you right now, if you are 20 years old, 18 years old, teenager watching this or listening to this, it will hit again and again. Okay? When you're in that mindset of like you failed and you feel the overwhelming feelings of stuff, I want you to remember that unless you like killed somebody or did a crime, you really did not fail. It's for redirection. Just because you think that thing was supposed to work out your way doesn't mean that that was absolutely the best way for you to go about the situation whatsoever. You have to learn when to pivot and when to redirect. And when you go through the failing part, it's hard to see like, okay, well, yeah, this just didn't work, so I'm just going to move on to something else. You can't move on. You can't think to move on because you haven't experienced enough life yet to understand that there is more than that original idea. Because to me, whenever I didn't get into that school, I felt like, well, shoot, I can't do nothing. I don't know what to do, because at that time I didn't know about majority of degree plans that I can go into. I never had to do like the scholarship like outside of volleyball. Like I didn't really know much of anything. When you don't really even have anybody who's really like putting forth the effort to even tell you what to do, it's just you figuring out. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Once that big thing happens and you are left feeling like a failure, other stuff happens too. Okay, like I remember at that time I went through a breakup. Shortly after that, my granny had a stroke. I left my mom's house. I was out with family. Like when I tell y'all, life got real very quick after that situation. Life got really real after that. So then after all that crap happens, and if you hear the rumbling in the back, I'm sorry, it is storming. You get into this depression and isolation. You might not even notice when you are going to be going through this depression and isolation. To me, I feel like this part always happens like post-grad, or like just post grad of high school or post grad of college, either or. And you're kind of left to figure out what is next. And you just feel sad the whole time. You feel sad because nothing is going right. And you see other people looking like they have it all. You're looking at them and you're feeling bad for yourself. You just isolate yourself from everyone. I remember whenever I was going through this part, like I would drive my car to like this big lake we had, and I would just sit in there for hours. Like I was sitting there for hours. I remember I would just journal all the time. Like I really didn't do much because like after the summertime, my friends had went back to school and I didn't go back to school. I just really stayed kind of to myself for real. Like I really stayed to myself. I tried to make myself feel like I was doing more than what I was actually doing. Like I remember I was just trying a lot of extra stuff, but at the root of it, I was just feeling absolutely horrible. It's crazy to me that so many of us go to this point and nobody really talks about that point. They talk about glowing up and like, oh, you can be like this and, you know, trying to get your life together, but they don't really talk about like is this the same thing? Because I think everybody, when people go through this in their 20s, they feel like they're the only ones who go through this. And mind you, it's going to be different areas that like people are going to experience, like no car, no job, they can't find a job. Like there's going to be different stuff. But this is such a learning transition for you, and you have to be open to see it. So what I'm talking about is throughout that isolating period, I do have to give myself my flowers, because even though I was just so like down and out and really felt like I really had no direction, because I didn't want to be whatever I was going to school for anymore, and I didn't know what to do. And then on top of that, I knew my friends were about to graduate with like good degrees, and I'm just gonna be the one sitting here with nothing, because I was like serving at the time, and I knew serving was cool for the time, but it wasn't gonna be fulfilling for me later on, you know. So I do have to give myself flowers, because during that time I remember I was going to Bible study every single Wednesday, and I also at my church, but I was also going to Bible study with another group of girls. And then I was also going to church. I made sure to go to poetry night, like something active with my friend. And then I was working out like crazy. I remember I would wake up every single day. Like, because mind you, I was not early bird, so I ain't even going to hold y'all. I wake up every day at 10 a.m. and I would go to the gym at 11 a.m. And I remember I would work out for like an hour and a half. And then I would go and run like 2 to 3 miles every day. Every single day. Best shape of my life, but yeah, so I was doing all that stuff. But during that time of that isolation, that depression, what I really noticed is that there's so many little chances that God's is trying to show us every day, and when we're going through the storm, but we have to be open to seeing it. So even though I felt absolutely horrible, I felt like just failure, felt like I just couldn't do anything or whatever, God was showing me little stuff every step of the way. So ever since I was little, I always knew I would be working for myself. There was no question about it. Even I always had little hustles. I remember elementary school, I would get cans to get like the little dollars from the recyclables. I would sell, like, I don't know if y'all remember, like when duct taping, like duct tape wallets and stuff like that was cool, and purses. I would sell that all the time. I remember I would go run clocks whenever I wanted to. I remember I did YouTube for a while beforehand, and that gave me money on my own. Like serving was a big thing that showed me that like I really want to make my own money and like not really have like an hourly wage. So that was something that I knew very early on, that like I wanted to work for myself. But I was trying to do like society was doing, which was like kind of conforming into getting to a corporate job or like being in healthcare or something like that. And so I think that's what I was focusing on. But God kept showing me like, no, you are meant to do your own thing. So the little pockets that he would actually give me to know that like the actual change that I'm really wanting for my life is coming is through the videos I watch. I'm a big video watcher and reader. I will read a self-help book to death. I'll watch, like, y'all should see my screen time and like my history. My history is literally all like podcasts, books, and videos, and like courses. Like that is literally all down my dang phone. Okay, y'all. He kept bringing on people and also algorithm to me to show me that this is where I'm supposed to be at. It did not matter how much I wanted to get comfortable working for someone else, doing something on somebody else's time. It was like he was always forcing me out of that situation because he knew that this is what I actually wanted to do. Now, with that being said, though, you have to be open to it. When you are depressed and you are isolating yourself, it is hard to see good. It's hard to see good. It's hard to see any type of light, any type of specialness. It's hard to see all of that. And it's not as simple as saying like, oh, just journal a little bit here and just go for walks there, get you a matcha, go to a workout class. It's not that easy to get out of that mind frame. You might do it one day, and then the next 6 days you're like hating your life. That's just honest. Like, that's just being so honest with you. Like, if you're listening to this and you're in that depression isolation stage, fight to see good in some type of situation. If you don't, you will stay in that depression so long, so much longer than you're supposed to, and you will not see any light. You will not get to see what is actually meant for you and understand that this situation that has happened in this time, it was just for a short period of time. It wasn't supposed to be a long period of time that you were supposed to be down. If I can give any advice for you guys to keep out of this whole podcast, is that there is a building block that you have to get on every single time you're about to start something new, or whenever it's time to transition into something else. I just don't understand how us as people, because even myself, think that like we can just transition and nothing crazy is gonna happen. Literally nothing crazy is gonna happen. Like this past year, even I've seen that like the first 3 months, y'all, girl was going through the trenches, right? But now I am seeing the work that I did during that time, and even though that was a really tough time for me, I'm seeing such a brighter future for myself now, and things are starting to align now. But it's just so hard to see. Like, I have to admit, like, it is so hard to see it and so hard to believe it, because for me, the worst thing for me was that I felt like I was not going to succeed in anything else. And there's 2 ways I could have took my situation, and I will tell you this, the part that like stuck with me for quite a long time. First, I truly felt that if I worked for something, it was not gonna happen. That's what I felt. That's what I took from that initial situation. I felt like, okay, you tried really hard, because y'all don't understand. When I was back at school, like, we would have 6 a.m. practice and all this extra stuff. I would still go work out and do my own stuff on my own after and before. Like, I was really working for real. Getting that no in my life, it triggered something in my brain saying that, okay, well, you working hard obviously doesn't work. Lies. Lies, okay? That is such lies. Now I know it's lies. But at the time when you're in it, you don't think it's a lie. You don't think that's something that is a lie. You think it's true, because all you can really go off is your reality, you know? But the other side that I end up taking later is that there's some things that I wanted that I actually did not want. You know the saying, like, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. That's a perfect example. Realistically, if I really cared about it, I probably would have been a volleyball coach now, probably try to work at high school, or like even just went to go play at school that I had a scholarship at. Did not go. To this day, like, playing, like, when people ask me, like, do you miss it? No, not at all. Like, I like to play it for fun now. Like, for funsies. As far as being competitive and all that extra stuff, absolutely not. So I did have to be realigned into a new space. And that's okay. But now I know that was that. But when you are going through it, you really can't see that part. Last point into this, because we're going to just go through like the feeling, because this the first episode was really just to go through like the feelings of it, to kind of assess where you were at, or like to kind of reevaluate when you did go through it, and maybe you didn't do the right steps as to getting out of it and getting to where you need to be at and stuff like that. So the last point I had was, what do you do next? Well, the first thing you do is make sure you follow this podcast so you can see part 2. But the next thing to do is to go back and review that time. Now, do this with caution, Because even for myself, it took me probably about 3 years to go back and reevaluate that time. Because when that's your first time going through something, so I'm not even gonna say traumatic, because that wasn't the first thing I went through that was traumatic, but that's the first thing that was kind of on me. Like, that was the kind of, like, it really didn't involve anybody else or anything. It was just myself. It really was hard. It was really hard for me to go back and revisit, because to me, it still had a little spice to me, feeling like I failed a little bit, and I really need to see if I was ready for that, and you can evaluate that. Like, if you're not ready to enter in that time, maybe you experience a death, maybe you experience like homelessness or something really, really deep where it did bring you to like a rock bottom. Like, rock bottoms can come in all shapes and sizes. Like, to other people, my rock bottom really doesn't seem that deep, but to me, it felt like the end of the world. Like, it could be anything, but it's important to review that time, because in the next episode, we'll be breaking down like what to do with that, like as far as if you're in it, and also if you have removed yourself with it, but you are in that stuck mindset. Because like I mentioned before, if you continue to blame yourself about things that have happened, you cannot get nowhere. You are just going to stay the same. Because literally, I remember my therapist said this. She said, if you cannot fix it, if you cannot change it, you need to move on from it, because if you don't, you will become the problem. So if you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, like my life kind of paused after this situation that had happened, you are now the problem. You can no longer blame what happened to you, because now at this point, why haven't you done anything? Like, I'm sorry, like I hate to bust your bubble, but like, why haven't you done anything? At some point, you can't blame so-and-so and this for happening. It's your life. The world keeps spinning. Just how you probably just woke up and realized it's been 5 years since the situation happened. Yeah. Life keeps going. You can't like just dwell. Obviously, time does heal everything, but if you haven't done anything, how do you like, it's not going to come and sit on your lap. Definitely go back and review that time. Review like the steps that you took, and review like how do you feel you could have done better in that situation, and review how you did do better. All right, guys. So I feel like I have talked your ear off enough by now, but if I will be putting in an email actually in the description, and if you are on my Instagram page, where you guys can shoot me questions, shoot me things that you guys want answers to, you guys wanted me to talk about on the show, any suggestions, anything like that, I would highly appreciate it. Or you guys could just DM me it, whatever. It will be your first name only, no last names. And if you haven't went ahead and followed the Poised in Progress Instagram, make sure you guys give that a follow, because I go and do sneak peeks of the upcoming episodes, and also just updates and polls and all that fun stuff. So make sure you guys go ahead and follow that. And if you guys love this podcast, please make sure to review it down below. I really appreciate it, and it will also help us reach to other people who will also need all of this knowledge as well. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.